should we question everything?
I think we should, like,
But
even
it's so
especially like especially like when even the news sources are coming out with like clickbaity stuff. You have to like start questioning everything. It sucks, but you gotta question it all.
But I guess though now, I mean, that just lowers the credibility of the journalism as well. That's what it sounds like.
I think so. Like, I totally think that the credibility of journalism has completely gone down.
I think so, and I feel bad because it takes one bad apple to ruin forever. I just
except that it's not one.
Yeah, I know, but it accumulates. I get that, but
hey there, welcome to the Gluten-Free Organic Thoughts podcast, where you are encouraged to express your natural thoughts and views through casual, meaningful conversations that hopefully can lead to learning and understanding new perspectives. To find out more info, visit www.gfOThoughts.com. Now, here are your hosts, Michael Wong and Robert Din. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another great episode of Gluten-Free Organic Thought Podcast. My name is Michael, and always with me, Robert.
How's it going, everyone? How's it going? Welcome back. We're excited to have another episode. I'm traveling today, so we have different background here. Yeah. Last couple weeks.
I still have a simpler background, as you can tell.
You guys still have the same blurred background, yeah.
Oh well, so this week's episode is gonna be motivated by data. So, as we know, as you all are aware, it is the information age, and as we progress, actually, we're gonna get more different ways of getting data and people mining our own data, right? But today's topic is focusing on having too much data and how we're absorbing it. And the question is, are we responsible to do a QA check on those data that we absorb and distill before we spread it back out to our peers?
Yeah, and how do we know that this data is any good? Like,
correct. Well, do we have the responsibility? If so, how do we do that? If not, why not? Mm-hmm. I think that's look at it from both sides.
Yeah, that's true.
So before we get started, what are you drinking, Robert?
I'm drinking my good old Coca-Cola here because I don't have any fancy drinks here at my parents' house. So it just is what it is. They got what they got. I also have a bottle of water here too. So right, fancy drinks over here.
It's okay. You're double fisting. It's okay.
What do you got, Mike?
I got Wawa. So as you can tell.
Oh, Wawa Coffee.
Yeah, it's only 20 ounce, so not too bad. Yeah.
Wawa. For those of you who aren't in, I don't know. I think it's the Eastern thing.
It's all
East Coast. Right now. Yeah, I think it's an East Coast thing. Wawa's like a gas station. Apparently, they have really good coffee. Right.
Good food. Actually, this came from
good
Canada.
Food.
I think Wawa came from Canada, I believe. It's a family-owned chain.
Wait, this one family owns all of Wawa?
I think that's how it started, and then it spread out in Philly, Northeast for a while, and then finally it came down to the Southeast.
Yeah, so it's a big thing. Oh, actually, I will tell you this. I was hanging out with my brother the other day, and he told me that's a way to get Vietnamese coffee at Starbucks. Like a coffee that tastes just like Vietnamase coffee, but at Starbucks.
Hang on, tell them to put condensed milk and put the dark espresso in it.
No. It's so it's equal parts espresso and mocha, like white mocha. Oh, so he gets like three shots of espresso and then 3 pumps of white mocha.
Yep. And
you can increase it up or decrease it, but it's like equal parts, and it's amazing. So good.
Is it 3 times more expensive than regular Vietnamese
coffee?
No,
it's like $3.75.
Get out of here!
It's not.
Really?
It's not that expensive. It's not like a Starbucks expensive coffee. Yeah, it's crazy. I was like,
it's a cheat code.
Yeah, but it's it's like super strong, like a strong version of Vietnamese coffee. And Vietnamese coffee is already strong. It's so good.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So going back to our original topic. All right. So let's get into this conversation. So I guess first things first, right? We're definitely admitting that there's too much data out there for sure. The first question is though, different ways of we're getting data today, right? Like I guess part of the question, in order to answer the question, is that how we are getting our data today. Mm-hmm. So social media is definitely one of the platforms. Through blogs, podcasts, newspaper,
The
emails.
newspapers online, like new.
Yeah, online, physical paper doesn't matter. Still.
Yeah, it's an online version of the newspaper. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably email blast as well, right? News outlet on TV, maybe even ads. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it's a
So,
lot of ads. Also,
and
I think. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
influence. No, and YouTube, like influencers as well. So
that makes sense.
yeah.
I think like the majority of people get their news from Facebook or social media. Like
of course,
nowadays, I think that is a predominant. Like I think for our generation at least, or like the younger generations, it's
even the older generation. You see people, the older generation, their peers posting stuff, they believe it, and so forth.
But there's still a lot of people that are watching the 6 o'clock news every day.
Yeah, that's true.
Watch that. But that's like our parents and like back generation. Whereas like I never watch 6 o'clock news. I don't even.
Like, I used to watch the 6 morning news for all the 6 a.m. Because I really wanted to get into. Obviously, when I'm into the stock market a little bit, I kind of watch a lot of stuff coming up, the pre-market stuff.
Yeah, so, but that's you're not watching. That's not like local news though. That's like business news.
It's kind of like I watch the local news and I switch over to the channel because I think the pre-market starts at 7 o'clock. That's what
I've I've watched those, but I have not watched the local news. I don't watch that stuff.
Let me tell you, I live in Orlando. You want to hear about the I-4 traffic?
The traffic's there, like right.
Just kidding. I'm just messing. All right, so obviously those are the different outlets, right? And one of the, I guess, going back to the question itself. So as we consume it, as we absorb it, and try to distill it in our mind, there is a little level of overwhelming, right? And I think this probably playing the factor is that, do we have the responsibility to start queuing some of this information? And if so, how do we do it? If not, why not?
I think there's also a thing, right? Like we talked about the different types of like news and stuff and information. I feel like the news outlets and the journalism news does themselves a disservice by putting up a paywall on every one of those sites. Like
that's true.
Like the New York, what is it? New York
Times. The New York Times, it does that too. Bloomberg does that as well sometimes.
So like
Wall Street journals.
So like the real news, right? The news that we expect to be correct always has a paywall, right? Like good sources, they have a paywall. So it does us a disservice because that news isn't readily available for us to consume.
Well, the regular users, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So that also kind of, because people are lazy already. Let's be honest with you.
Yeah.
So if we're not, so let's say that let's take the one-sided argument first, right? So we can argue that we're not responsible for this because at the end of the day, we technically can trust the media source to provide us the right data, the right sources, to provide the right news, right? It's their responsibility to make sure they tell the truth. That's one side of the argument.
Yeah, for like the real news.
Yep.
The real journalism news, right?
Correct.
But yeah, it's like we kind of trust them because they seem like a valid source. Yeah,
correct.
You're right.
But it's their duty to make sure that their own data does not get diluted across the way. I guess it's been distilled, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as it spread more, but also at the same time, though, human beings are lazy, so we shouldn't be. I guess the one side argument is that we should not have the responsibility of making sure that the data is actually good. You know what I mean? Like we shouldn't. It shouldn't general. Like it's just we don't have to have the time in the world to do that. I mean, most people don't.
We also aren't like experts, right? So
we're not expert either. Yeah.
We expect the people who are going out and researching and writing stuff up to be
the experts.
Experts. Yeah. And so like it's just not. It's impossible for us to actually go out and do every research for everything, right?
That's correct. Impossible. Yeah. No, and you're right, because that is their job, right? Because to pull out different sources, to come up with that point of view, make sure that this is actual real fact, and it's there. And we we give them the credibility that they're the expert because they spend so much time doing it.
Because that's their job. That's their
job.
That's the job. Like if someone was to come to me with data, and when they were like, "Hey, Robert, give me some data," and I gave them data, they would be like, "Oh, we're gonna assume that correct. Robert gave us the right data. We might do a couple checks here and they're like very light checks." But yeah. It's that's what you assume. Like you go to the expert to get what you need.
So and I think that's a good reason why we shouldn't be liable for that as the consumer. You know what I mean? So now let's pick the other side of the argument, right? Where, why we should do it, because there are, fake news outlets there for clickbaits. They just want to confuse people. There is that side of people who just want to dilute the news to confuse people.
That's true. And but also, like, before we get to the those sites, even the news, the regular news, is doing clickbaity everything. And as soon as you put like a clickbaity title on something, I kind of just assume that it's bad information. And these are like legit sites that are putting clickbaity stuff on there because that's what's giving them revenue and stuff. But like,
funny thing is that I fell for them before sometimes, and I was like, man, like these are a good title, but this article has nothing to do with that at all.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Also, there's also like legit sites, like tech sites and stuff, which will like say something like this. I saw something that was like, oh, like the 10 anime character or like Naruto characters that can beat Naruto or something like that, something crazy, and then they give you a list, and the list was completely off base. If you had watched the anime, that was not right. So it's just like wrong information coming from a legit site. Like it's more opinion, but it's still like this opinion is just wrong. Like it's
But I also think that I've seen true legit website who takes sources from another site, who takes a sources from another site, like cascade different way all the time.
Yeah. They'll take a source that like one source will have
another source,
or like they'll take it directly from the source, and then the next one will just take this guy, and they don't go back to the original source.
They don't.
They just go they go like analysis of the analysis of the analysis.
Yeah, it's crazy because I do think at that point we should pay attention to that, at least the consumer part. I personally think that if we realize patterns like that, we should do a double check before we spread it, at least. Like I said, it's okay to consume it, but if we're trying to spread it to somebody else and put it on our newsfeed, Facebook post, or share it to our friend, whatever it is, communication, double check something like that, at least.
Yeah, we definitely have to now, because I feel like once you've read a few of those things that are just like off base, or like what articles of articles, like you decide you think about it and you're like, I shouldn't think about it. It's the people that like automatically just forward, where they don't even realize what is the data, like what they're reading, right? They don't even realize that that's wrong, or they don't realize that it's a source of a source of a source that doesn't.
Well, they don't pay attention to that.
Yeah,
and it's easily. Don't get me wrong. I've done it. I mean, fair share mistake as well. It's easy to force something that you didn't realize. Oh, this is an article of someone else.
We send stuff to each other all the time, and then someone's like, "Is this fake?" And then we have to go research it, and it's fake.
We do, and it's fake, and we pull it back.
And we're like, "Oh, I guess this was funny."
We're retracting our own data.
We retract our own links that we're sending to our friends.
And if the news media outlet can do it, we can do it. Okay.
Oh man. Do we apologize for it? Because I don't think they apologize. They just say, "Oh, we're retracting this."
No. They have the little update title. So they're like, republish at certain dates and then retracted this and that's what they did. They don't even tell you when they retracted. Like they don't even tell you, "Hey guys, we retracted this."
Yeah.
But it does happen though, and I think that kind of reason why we should care, especially like if we're trying to share a news information through social media. Man, nowadays you can fake any video. It's so crazy.
Yeah, that's true. And there's like all kinds of fake videos out there.
Yeah.
It's
But how do you even verify that now at that point?
I don't know. And it takes a long time to like verify some stuff.
Yeah. So you had to search what other outlets talking about this that is not taking the same source to make sure it's real.
Yeah.
Like it really, you do. Like you have to take some time to that and give consideration to literally pull that out. And most people, they have 9 to 5 jobs, they have kids, they're not gonna have time to do that.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that.
So
We really don't. Like it's just too much. But
yeah,
but like if if you see something that's fishy, like you have to be looking for stuff that's fishy. Like you question everything. That's what we've come down to. Is like everything we see now, we gotta question it.
so I guess now leading to then my next question, but about this is like, should we question everything?
I think we should, like,
But
even
it's so how do we
especially like
treat?
especially like when even the news sources are coming out with like clickbaity stuff. You have to like start questioning everything.
So
It sucks, but you gotta question it all.
but I guess though now, I mean, that just lowers the credibility of the journalism as well. That's what it
Yeah,
sounds like.
I think so. Like that might be a different podcast, but like
Yeah,
I totally think that the credibility of journalism has completely gone down.
I think so, and I feel bad because it takes one bad apple to ruin for everyone. I just
Except that it's not one.
yeah, I know, but it accumulates. I get that, but and I still believe that there are some good journalism out there, and
Hmm.
so yes, I just think that how do we get the mass people to start questioning stuff, right? Because at least get the mindset to start looking at stuff patterns that should okay, well, this doesn't make sense at all. Why is it this? Instead of just absorbing it and then resharing it again, because that cascade really fast. Especially if you have a celebrity who actually believe this is true and they share it to millions of people, and those million
Hmm.
people share it to people, it can escalate so quickly sharing fake news.
Yeah, that's 100% true. But like, so like all of this like information that we're getting and sharing around, like it also gets to the point where it's just like overloading us completely with all of this crazy
It's
stuff.
stressful. It is. It becomes stressful for
Yeah.
sure.
And we were talking about this earlier where like or not on the podcast but like offline where it's like it's getting to the point where it's just like numbing us and like being like, oh,
We,
we might see so many different things that it's just like, oh, now we see it all. Like we just everything
well,
is just
we
numbing
kind of
us.
stop caring, or this is their normality, and that's a
Yeah.
sad thing. Like I think one of the topic conversation example we brought up early before this podcast, like this shooting, right? We saw so many mass shooting, even though we see it everywhere 24/7 for a long period of time. It's almost kind of become desensitized, which kind of is sad because it's still important.
Yeah.
This is like
It's
it
definitely
shouldn't be
become
happening. This is not
desensitized.
normal. This
Yeah.
is not. This is like not normal. Mass shooting should never be happening.
Yeah. And then but like we see it every day. There was a point where it's like every day there was a mass shooting. And like got to the point where it's like, oh man, another one. That sucks. But like what do we really do? What can we really do, right? But then there's also like well, they'll be throwing out information that is just wrong, and
Yeah,
that'll also be out all over the place, and there's no way to stop it because it's just been pushed everywhere.
yeah. And then when they retract, it's too late.
Yeah, by the time it's retracted, everyone believes it already. Like
Yeah.
for example, right? I'm in Florida now. Like I like here in Florida, nobody cares about COVID. Like
We care a little. We care a little.
they don't think it's real. Like I've got like they just don't think it's real. But like when they were starting to like to like quarantine everyone, there was like news from the CDC or whatever saying it wasn't that something wasn't really working right or something like the mask didn't really help or they said
Oh
something,
yeah,
right?
it confused everybody.
It
The whole
confused
CDC.
everyone, and by the
Yeah.
time they retracted it, it had gone out, and the people who believed that just went with it, and still today are talking about it, and they're like, "Yeah, this is it, like the masks don't work. Why are you wearing
I
masks?"
feel like okay. So now, how about this? Pivot this conversation a little bit, but government agencies who literally has the power and knowledge to share the right must share the right information. They should be accountable for that kind of stuff because if you think about it, I feel like they confused people when everything was started going down. They told me, hey, some certain masks is not mandatory, certain things. Like it was just started confusing people. Like
Yeah.
literally, like I feel like even taking out like, oh, you guys, you don't have to wear a mask outside anymore, and then it was just it's too early to do kind of things like that, and then people, oh, we don't have to wear a mask anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
they just read it on the line. I just feel like government agency who's spreading those kind of updates, they need to be a little bit more accountable for what they do. It's not fake news. It isn't. It just being misinterpreted, and it confuses the mass.
I don't know. I feel like some of it is fake too. Like the mass thing has gone very political. So like when the the politicians come in and say stuff, like I don't think they should be allowed to say whatever they want.
That's true.
I feel like they should be held accountable for the things they say,
especially when it's health related to the mass public.
Yeah, especially when it's like affecting our country and like the people in our country like this deeply, right? But yeah,
the morality behind it. Think about this. Like I feel like we tearing ourselves apart, to be honest with you. Like we're shooting ourselves in the foot, we're tearing ourselves apart. Like every quadrant of the country's doing their own thing. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. And the politicians don't help at all in that sense.
And you think that it's supposed to unite people more for the same common cause, but it's not. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're getting all off topic though. But in terms of being able to curate stuff, I do think overall we should have a little bit of responsibility before we share something. At least we could absorb it. That's fine. I mean, you could read whatever you want, absorb it. But if we're trying to share something, I personally think that we have the small responsibility to investigate if it's fishy, or investigate if it's like double link back-to-back service sources, actually read the true source, or to Google other similar, to see that actually this is being displayed somewhere else as well, right? To make sure this is real before we share to somebody else, though.
I think we tried to answer this question before, but like how do we actually, like, since we're not the experts at any of this stuff, how do we know what we're researching is actually the right research?
Well, you probably see other outlets probably reporting the same thing, but with different sources, so you can tell, okay, could be a real incident, right? At least we can tell that's a real incident. At least it could be a different perspective, but it's a real incident. I'm not saying that, hey, validate the sources. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, like, you can read out a lot of fishy stuff, let's just say.
Yeah, so you're saying, like, we should be doing like a surface level like check on it, like
before we share it with anybody.
Yeah, and also like a gut check, right? Sometimes it's like, this really just feels fishy, even though I don't have any data.
Sometimes common sense too.
Yeah, it's like it just feels like it doesn't seem like the right thing, right? Yeah. So
obviously, don't do it if you're not gonna share to anybody. Don't waste your time doing it. But even though for your own insanity's sake, if you're not sharing to anybody, I would personally do my own QA check to make sure I'm absorbing the right data, the right information as well.
Yeah.
And it's too much sometimes. It is. It's just overwhelming. You don't have time to check every single thing, and I get that. But at least if you're trying to plan to share with somebody else, curate something at least.
Yeah.
To a certain degree.
Yeah.
I think we do owe it to our followers, our people that we share with, our friends, our peers. Before we share something, we have somewhat of due diligence to curate something of that. So
somewhat.
Otherwise, don't share it. To be honest, why you want to share it? It makes it look bad if they call you out as fake. First of all, you may get bad reputation. They may call you out, hey, stop sharing fake news stuff. It happens.
It's true, but like, it's also like I can see how it can happen, because you see something and immediately you're like, oh, this affirms what I believe, so I'm going to share it, right? Before validating. And you might have like friends in your group that also believe in the same thing, and so they're also reaffirming everything
that's sure that you're sharing the right thing.
Yeah. For example, like I don't know, we're in a group of guys who quite a few of us don't like LeBron James, and like if anything comes out that's negative on LeBron James, we send it out, even if it's wrong, and you're like, oh, actually this wasn't right, but you know what? Whatever, we hate him. Like,
you guys just amplify the whole thing.
Double down.
Hey, listen, there's a reason why they do that, because they know how to target certain audiences.
That's true. All of these clickbaity stuff and like all these like these fake news things, they know what is like what triggers us emotionally, and then so they just like throw this.
They know how to target it. They're like, oh, you know what? It must be real because I believe it too.
Yeah, crazy.
And I think that that's also part of why we should actually personally think we should kill it, because it goes against go check our the fact or opinions in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you can read an article, it's actually an opinion, it's not a fact. And most people sometimes they cannot distinguish that at all. By the way, I mean,
I think they distinguish it, but they
agree to it. Probably.
Agree with it, and then it doubles down their own beliefs, and then they're like, oh yeah, other people think the same thing as me, so it must be right.
Especially if they live in their own bubble, they may not have encountered other things otherwise as well.
Yeah,
and so that's true. And then at that point is that how do you know you're queuing in the right way?
That's what I'm saying. Like we might just be like, we might just QA our own bubble and just be like, yeah, this is what we believe, and so this is our QA.
So are you saying overall that we shouldn't even waste time QAing at all?
That's the other side. We're just like, nah, just screw it. Just keep sending it forward, everything.
We're not getting any better. That
we're not getting. we're not good at this anyway. So why even?
We're not the expert. That's true. We're not the expert, right? I mean, the whole point of us reading different media outlets is for you to create your own awareness, right? At the end of the day, we do have a due diligence to make sure our awareness is becoming really a little bit smarter, just a little bit more aware, just a little bit smarter.
Yeah. Hopefully, like we have all this information. We should be getting smarter. We should be learning every day. It should be like everything is easy to just find the right answer, and yet somehow
it's so hard to find the right answer.
It's very hard. Yeah.
All right. So moving on to our extra MG funny session. So what do you have for us today, Robert?
Today I don't think I might have a picture that I'll send that I can send later. But like, yeah, I'm at my mom's house, and she has a little Chihuahua, and I went into the treat box. I think I said this to our group. Like, we went to the treat box, and I pulled out like all the treats, and they were all expired.
It was so bad.
Like
it was like months and months ago, like 7 months ago.
Yeah,
years. No, it was years.
No, so like there was a bunch of bags that she we've opened and given her those treats. And those were like 2020, right? So like,
years.
They expired in 2020. And my mom's like, no, this is like August of 2020. I was like, Mom, it's August this month of 2021. It's a year old. So like you can throw this away. And then there was boxes of these old treats that she had they were unopened, but they were labeled for expired in 2014.
Yeah, years.
2014, 7 years ago. These are expired.
I bet it still look fine, look perfect, and looks edible still.
Yeah, it probably smelled fine too, because they're dog treats, so they just smell like dog food. But but I was like, if it's expired in 2014, that means you must have gotten them in 2013, right? So they're like 8 years old. Like, oh my god. So I threw out all of those and bought new treats.
So you should have just fed to the stray dogs out there, They weren't eating anything. The stray dogs out there,
No. Also, the next door neighbors, they keep feeding the stray cats in the neighborhood. So there's cats everywhere, just like huddling around.
I hate it. My roommate does that right now. He feeds the stray kittens out there. I see 4 kittens coming around my front door.
Your roommate does this?
He does it in the sidewalks. See food out there. I'm like, dude,
why? Why does he do this? Did you tell him to stop?
I did tell him to stop. He still does it. It's been 3 years.
Wow, that's horrible.
I know. Anyway, all right. So my funny thing is I sent you a link. So it's a video. The title says, after telling my work I'm leaving, they said that I must make a formal resignation letter. So in response, I went all out.
All right, what's he doing here?
He's reading his letter of resignation through a third party. It says that he hired a guy to do it.
He hired a guy to read his resignation letter?
Yes. And explains what they must do.
All right. 6 long arduous years. Wait, so he just stands up there and the guy just is talking.
Yep.
Just reading it. What kind of store is this? Is this
It looks like a European store. That's what it looks like.
But it looks kind of like a Target or a Walmart would be.
Yeah, a supermarket, you can tell. Yeah, like a Target and Walmart. Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's just funny though.
You think he hired this guy, or you think
it's probably a friend of his? If I ever quit my job, I'm gonna do that, But how do I do that online though?
It's on like your like monthly all hands or whatever for your team, or like your team meeting. That's what you do.
Yeah. Actually, I saw some. Okay, actually, in my work 3 weeks ago, somebody sent a goodbye video.
Someone sent a goodbye video.
A mass goodbye video.
Wow.
It's like a lot of people.
How did they do? Was it on like YouTube or something that he sent it?
Yeah, he'll upload it to some kind of YouTube site. Yeah. It's smart. It's a smart way to say goodbye. You know.
Wow. I guess that's the way to do it nowadays.
Yeah.
Like people quitting, you gotta go. You gotta do something
wow,
online.
you know.
Yeah.
You gotta leave some word of wisdom behind, I guess too, right?
I guess so.
Okay, alrighty. Well, that wraps up our episode.
No, we're gonna end with our rant.
Oh, that's right, the rant. That's right. My apologies.
Yeah, Michael, you got anything to rant about?
Besides construction midnight, nah, that's about it.
Construction midnight.
I read about this before, how they do construction in random hours and narrow it down to no lanes and makes you to drive the side of the lanes before. I already read this about this already. Besides that, though, I don't really have much to rant, to be honest. Like,
okay.
Yeah. How about you?
My rant is that Florida doesn't care about COVID, right, at all.
They care a little.
They really don't.
Well, Publix right now being forced again every employee to wear a mask, and so
employees, yeah,
employees.
But then like people going in don't they don't care. I went to I attempted to go to a coffee shop earlier in the week, and I walked in and nobody's wearing a mask. And this is after like the Delta variant's been out and people are like, I think they say you need to be wearing masks again indoors. Like that's a thing now, right?
So it depends. So the Florida governors letting the county decide whether they're gonna make it required to wear a mask. So most county made it optional. It's recommended. They say recommended to wear a mask indoors. That's what they did.
It's so stupid because they have like the highest cases of this virus.
So the highest concentration cases is in South Florida. You're right.
Yeah. So shouldn't they just be like, all right, let's bog down and not do anything. Let's chill out.
I worked out at a coffee shop past couple of days in a row in South Florida. Starbucks did a good job of separating the tables still, and then a lot of people were indoor. They were kind of wearing masks here and there. I mean, it wasn't crowded at all. It's like 5 people. I was like, but in a big ass store though. So it wasn't like
I went into this coffee shop, right? I went to this coffee shop, and the tables were not spread out. It seemed like a normal, like everything was still normal, and every table had somebody in it, and nobody was wearing a mask. So I walked in, I looked around, and I was like, all right, I'm out of here because I can't. I don't do that. And then not only that, like this weekend, I went with my brother and his kids. And we were like, oh, we're going to go to the park or a lake and something and feed like the ducks and stuff, right? Yeah. So we went to one of the state parks. We went in, paid $6 to get in to like Ponce de Leon State Park, and drove in, and it was packed. Like there was no parking spaces left.
Okay.
And you walk out, every table has a huddle, like a group of people in each table, and the springs were like full of people. We drove one lap around and just drove out. Right, we're done. Like, it's no good. Yeah, we went to 2 parks and both of them were the same. They were just like packed with people. Like
everyone's outdoor right now. I mean, at least Disney is forcing the guests to wear masks. So
indoors.
No, I think it's both indoor and outdoor now.
No. I have a friend who went to Disney today.
Really?
And he was like, yeah, nobody here wears masks. It's just me.
Oh, so outdoor outdoor's not as big of a deal.
I mean, it's not as big of a deal, but like, I mean, you should be wearing a mask. Like, I don't fucking understand. Just wear the mask.
Yeah, I mean, to protect people, just to protect people in general. So,
it's not even to protect yourself. It's to protect everyone. Also, like, if I see a group of people wearing a mask, like, I feel so much safer. I don't know why, but I just feel safer. It just mentally makes you feel safer. I don't know. seeing all these people maskless, I'm assuming everyone's got COVID here in Florida.
I mean, you just get a COVID test before you leave. Let us know.
Yeah. I did. I got a COVID test, but we'll see.
I always got a COVID test before I see my parents anyway. So
yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in to this episode. Let us know what you think about, do you want to QA your own data before you share somebody? Leave us a comment. Should you even do it, right? And if you do it, give us any ideas how you can do it better, to be honest, perhaps.
That's true. How do we make sure that we're sending out the right data and QAing our own data correctly?
Yeah, if you do it, right? So
yeah.
Anyway,
we're in the mode of like we don't even know if we're doing anything right even. So let us know. Yeah. So for anyone out there listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any of those podcasts, give us a like, give us a rating. And if you're on YouTube, smash that like button.
Subscribe below, please.
Yeah, subscribe to our channel. And if you want us to watch all of our episodes, you can go to our website, www.gfotthoughts.com.
Thanks for tuning in. Until next time. Take it easy.
See you guys. Peace.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Gluten-Free Organic Thoughts podcast. As always, we appreciate you. If you are watching us on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this episode, and leave us a comment. If you are listening to us, please leave us your honest review on your preferred podcast listening platform. And as always, you can find us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GFOThoughts. Drop a comment and give us some feedback. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, see you then.